The first time I saw Simon after the accident, his eyes wouldn't meet mine. They used to, back when we were just two boys who laughed too loudly in the same kitchen. Now, his silence cut sharp in the rain on that night we swore never to talk about. Mom thinks we grew distant because of school. Dad says brothers fight. But Simon and I both know the truth. We didn't fight. We fell. And when you fall for someone you're not supposed to, you learn how long guilt can echo inside a house that used to feel like home. It started the summer Simon moved into Dad's lakeside cabin. The kind of summer that smelled like cut grass and sunscreen. The kind that made everything feel endless. He was older by 2 years, quiet, always sketching by the window while the world buzzed outside. At first, I tried not to notice him. I told myself he was just my stepbrother, a temporary addition to a family still learning how to breathe together. But the thing about silence is, it makes you listen harder. And one evening, I caught him watching me from across the deck and not looking away. The air between us was different after that. He'd lean against the railing when I came outside, pretending to watch the lake, but always glancing over. Sometimes, our shoulders brushed when we passed in the hallway. It was nothing, except it wasn't. I told myself it was in my head until the night I found his sketchbook open on the table. There, between pencil lines and shadows, was me. Not just me, the way I looked at him. The moment I saw that, something inside me shifted. And when he walked in and saw me holding it, time stopped between us. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The only sound was a ceiling fan and the soft hum of crickets outside. Simon's eyes darted to the book, then back to me. "Don't," he whispered. I wanted to say don't what, but my throat refused. He stepped closer, just enough for me to hear the tremor in his breath. "I didn't mean for you to see that," he said. But his voice didn't sound sorry. It sounded scared. And in that fear, I saw the same thing living inside me, the thing we were both pretending not to feel. For days after that, we avoided each other. Meals turned quiet. The air in the cabin grew thick, heavy with words we wouldn't say. But one night, during a thunderstorm, the power went out. I found Simon lighting candles in the living room, his face soft in the glow, eyes golden in the flicker. He looked up. "You scared of storms?" I shook my head, though my pulse betrayed me. "Good," he said, half smiling. "Then keep me company." We sat in silence, the sound of rain wrapping around us like a secret. That was the night I realized silence could feel like gravity. Thunder cracked. The lights flickered. I remember him saying something, I don't even know what, because I wasn't listening anymore. I was looking at the way candlelight danced across his face. He noticed. "What are you staring at?" he asked quietly. I opened my mouth but said nothing. He exhaled, looking away, and that's when I knew he felt it too. That silent acknowledgement was worse than any confession. It was real, raw, and wrong. And from that moment, every heartbeat in that cabin felt louder. The next morning, we pretended nothing happened. He went back to sketching. I went back to pretending. But every glance carried the weight of that storm. Mom joked that we were finally getting along. If only she knew how much we were trying not to. One afternoon, I walked past his room and saw him asleep, pencil still in hand. His sketchbook lay open, another drawing. This time it wasn't me. It was us, standing side by side, looking out over the lake. He'd drawn what we couldn't say. And somehow, that made it even harder to breathe. That night, I stood by the dock, staring at the water's reflection, trying to see who I was before Simon. He joined me quietly, barefoot, hoodie sleeves pushed up. "You ever wish things were simple?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, "but simple doesn't feel like this." He didn't move. Neither did I. The moonlight painted us in silver, two shadows caught between right and almost. And for a second, I thought he'd step closer. But instead, he whispered, "We can't do this." I didn't argue, because I didn't trust myself not to. 700 to 750 words. Cliffhanger/hook number 8. The next day, he was gone. No note, no explanation. Just an empty sketchbook left on the table, and one unfinished drawing. It was the same dock, the same moonlit water, but only one figure standing there. Me. And on the corner of the page, in small, trembling handwriting, he'd written just 3 words. I tried not to. Simon disappeared after that summer. No goodbye, no call, just memories and unfinished drawings left in a dusty sketchbook. For years, I told myself it was better that way, that silence was safer than what we almost became. But time doesn't erase what's real. And one autumn morning, when the doorbell rang, I opened it to see him standing there again, older, tired, rain dripping from his jacket. And in his eyes, that same quiet ache I tried to forget. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. He looked the same, just older, sharper, carrying the weight of too many unspoken things. "Hey," he said softly, like the word itself hurt. I wanted to say his name, but it caught in my throat. Mom called from the kitchen, thrilled to see him, unaware that time had stopped between us. He smiled politely, played along, and for the first time in years, we sat across from each other like strangers pretending to be family. That night, after everyone went to sleep, I found him sitting outside by the lake. Same dock, same moonlight, same silence humming between us. "I shouldn't have left the way I did," he said finally. I swallowed hard. "You didn't leave. You disappeared." He nodded, eyes fixed on the water. It was the only way I knew how to stop, whatever that was. He didn't have to say it. The pause said everything. And when he looked at me again, I realized whatever we'd buried was still alive, just quieter now. We talked until the moon tilted west, about everything except that summer. He told me about college, about living alone, about never finding a place that felt like home. And I told him I stayed, that I never left the cabin because part of me couldn't. When our eyes met, there was a question hanging between us, unspoken, fragile. But neither of us was brave enough to answer it. Then he said, "I still draw you sometimes." It wasn't a confession. It was an echo. And my heart stumbled right back to the moment we'd never finished. The next morning, he handed me a small, folded page from his sketchbook. It was a drawing of that stormy night, candles, rain, and the space between us. But this time, we were standing closer. "I've been trying to fix it for years," he said quietly. "Fix what?" "The ending." He smiled just barely. "You always think in endings," I said. "And you," he whispered, "always lived in moments." Something about the way he said it felt final, like a goodbye wrapped in fondness. But I wasn't ready to lose him twice. Later that day, he helped me repaint the old porch. We worked side by side, pretending normal. But every brushstroke carried tension. Every glance was a sentence we didn't say. Finally, I asked, "Why come back now?" He hesitated. "Because I kept seeing this place in my dreams. You here, like time was waiting for me to do it right this time." And then he looked at me, really looked, and I felt 16 again, standing under stormlight, trying to decide between right and real. That evening, as the sun went down, he packed to leave again. "I got a train in an hour," he said, voice steady but eyes flickering with regret. "You're really going?" I asked. He nodded, and then, as he passed by, he stopped. "Do you ever think we could have been something if it wasn't?" I cut him off. "Yeah, I think about it every summer." He smiled half sad. "That's what I was afraid of." And before I could say anything else, he turned toward the door. When the train finally took him, the sky opened up, raining just like that night years ago. I went back inside, sat at the table, and found the old sketchbook again. Inside, a new page, one I hadn't seen. It was a final drawing, 2 figures standing apart, one hand reaching out. Beneath it, in careful handwriting, he'd written. It was never a mistake. Just something the world wasn't ready for. I closed the book and smiled through the ache. Because some stories don't end. They just stay unfinished in the most beautiful way. Every summer since, I still walk to the dock at dusk. The water's calm. The air smells like memory. And sometimes I swear I hear footsteps behind me. Soft, careful, familiar. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's just the echo of everything we never said. But either way, I look at the reflection in the lake and whisper his name. Because some people don't leave. They just linger in the spaces between love and almost. And for me, that space will always be called Simon.